Morning, everyone. Call this meeting to order. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the municipal flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the United States, the symbol of perfect friendship of one another. Okay, moving down to approval of the regular meeting agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the regular meeting agenda.
I'll second that.
Now, the second by Commissioner Billings. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to the next item, which is elected official reports. Sheriff Gomez.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just a little synopsis of the past month of what the Sheriff's Office has been doing. In regards to training, we continue to seek and provide enhanced training opportunities to the staff. Examples include criminal investigations, street crimes, community police interactions, FBI Leadership Academy Command and Executive Training, Federal Intelligence and Information System Training, and other different trainings. We recently completed 2 weeks of the in-house state-mandated training at the Convention Center, the biannual training. We offered this training to our local police agencies at no cost. This is done to provide high-quality training to those agencies that lack resources to do so for themselves. We also partner with the Silver City Police Department and shared instructors' subject expertise. The result is pushing high-quality, consistent training to all area agencies, which has the effect of better performance by all countywide. Future plans are to certify on a motor vehicle crash reconstructionist to allow the Sheriff's Office to both respond and to investigate serious crash situations, including those which result in fatalities. The New Mexico DOT Safer New Mexico grants. We have a funding meeting with the representatives from Safer New Mexico on July 18th to discuss the FY20 funding opportunities for traffic enforcement programming. This includes state reimbursed funding for overtime in categories of ODWI, STEP, the Selected Traffic Enforcement Program, OBD, Operation Buckle Down, and other eligible programs. We are actively seeking to reestablish our relationship with the New Mexico DOT and recover funding lost to other agencies in recent years. In stats information, we are currently evaluating statistical data from the period of January 1st to June 30th of 2019. We hope to outline current trends and compare and contrast the current period to the same period, previous periods of 5 years. My hope is that we can provide the Commission and the public with a snapshot of our work with Rebel in areas of success, as well as areas of concern. This will provide guidance for future operations. In staffing, 2 certified deputies and 2 uncertified deputy cadets have joined our team. A 3rd has rejoined us after successfully completing the Western New Mexico University Police Academy. We are currently experiencing significantly increased interest from potential applicants, which I view as a measure of enhanced morale and a sense from both our employees and those interested in a career in law enforcement that the Grand County Sheriff's Office is moving forward in a positive direction many want to follow. And I'd like to just give appreciation and acknowledge the support and encouragement we have received from the Commission, the county managers, and others. In regards, a couple weeks ago, we also did a promotion. 3 deputies were promoted to sergeants, and I'd like to thank the HR Director, Renee Calloway. We totally went with a different system of how we did our promotions, and it was very successful. We had no complaints, guys were very fair, went through a point system, and it showed the transparency and the consistency of how we did our promotions. I would also like to recognize the support and recognitions of our staff have received from the public. And I'd like to close by reading a couple of letters that we have received from the public on some deputies. This is a local resident. This was dated June 26, 2019. I'm a resident of Silver City, and on June 25th, 2019, late at night, I had a misfortune to have a deer hit my truck. Well, he tried to run in front of my truck and I hit him. There was no escape for either of us. What a mess. Officer Alice Black had to put the deer down, no other choice as far as I could tell. Deputy Olson got all the facts, he was very thorough and even took pictures. Both officers were extremely helpful and professional. They stayed with me while the tow truck came, and I made sure I got home safely. I was quite shaken by the experience and greatly appreciated that they stayed. I had the distinct impression that I had just been rescued by superheroes. Honestly, you have created a model for excellence here, and I don't believe a citizen of this county could hope for a better experience with your department. Please consider a raise for Officers Black and Olson. They are making you look very good. And I just have one more letter, and this is actually from a gentleman from San Antonio, Texas. I'm writing to let you know about a positive experience I had with Deputy Randy Orozco. I am from San Antonio, Texas, and while camping by myself at Bear Dam Lake on April 5th of this year, I was attacked by a pet bull belonging to another person camping in the area. The attack was fairly serious, and Deputy Orozco arrived while I was in the ambulance waiting to be transported to the emergency room in Silver City. He was very professional and seemed to take charge of the situation right away, which was very comforting. After arriving at the emergency room, Deputy Orozco stopped and checked on me. In our discussion, I discovered that there was not a taxi service or an Uber-type service in the area to help me to get back to the campground after I was released. To my surprise, Deputy Orozco came back after I was released and took me back to the campground. It was very late at night, early in the morning, and he certainly went well above and beyond, taking the time to drive the hours plus round trip out to the lake to help me get back to my campsite. We had a great conversation on the way, which in itself was comforting as well. While the trip may have been a routine to him, it certainly spoke volumes to me about his character and capacity to care for others. I could not be more grateful for Deputy Orozco that night. I sincerely hope in some way he can be recognized for his actions helping me. Just so you're aware, I'm not sure if you are aware, we've also opened up a Sheriff's Office Facebook page, and we take the good with the bad that's getting posted. Our biannual trainings, the defensive tactics trainings, letters of recognition. We had a missing person that we also posted, and it's been working really well. So that's the end of my report. I stand for questions.
Do you want any questions for the sheriff?
I appreciate that report, and really appreciate what you're doing with the Sheriff's Office. My hat's off to you and all your staff.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sheriff. Sheriff Gomez, where are we at on manpower? Maybe I missed that, but how many openings do you still have?
We have 6 openings right now. Right now, we're in the background investigations of 5 certified deputies. So one actually has been completed, and as soon as the HR director comes back, I'll be offering the position to a female that is certified, comes from Missouri, and we'll be going to the cert by waiver. I also have 4 more that are certified, and once we're completed with that background, God willing, all goes well with the background investigations, we'll be down 1.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Want to see any other elected officials?
No?
Oh,
Sorry, Chief Hudson, I apologize.
okay.
Okay, my name is Ryan, I'm the Chief Deputy. I'm giving the report for the 2018 property taxes as of July 10th. We have collected 92.31%, a grand total of $5,651,522.62. We did recently send out our delinquent tax notices, so we had quite a big jump from the last report to this report on the amount of taxes collected. Last month, let's see, the difference was $70,315.97, and we jumped up to $96,620.03. So that was a good ending for us for the fiscal year. To end the fiscal year, for the total receipts processed, it was $26,749,720.86. For the new fiscal year, we are starting at $392,696.71 of total receipts processed. May I stand for any questions?
Any questions? Thank you. Thank you.
Chairman, Commissioners, I'd just like to say, let you guys know that the office, my office will be closed on August 5th, 6th, and 7th, so that myself and the staff can attend the Secretary of State's election school.
6, 7?
August 5th, 6th, and 7th, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions? No questions. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is public input. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Any individual who would like to discuss an item in more depth may request to be placed on a future agenda. Request forms are available in the county manager's office. So anybody for Ms. Connor?
Good morning, Commissioners, other elected officials, and county staff. I'm Guadalupe Cano. I am the District 4 Town Councilor in the Town of Silver City, and I'm just here to invite you. There will be a formal invitation sent to each of you, but I wanted to also make an announcement. Each councilor in Silver City does a celebration or a volunteer project for recognition of our territorial charter each year, and my project is coming up. It will be on August 3rd from 4 o'clock until whenever we get tired of being there at Golf Park. We are going to be celebrating National Night Out, which is an evening to present our law enforcement and first responders to the community, and hopefully get the community to come and show their appreciation for those individuals who work so hard for our community. We'll be providing food for the first 400 to 500 people. There'll be a lot of volunteer opportunities. Several agencies will be there with booths. And the most exciting thing is that the Silver City Police Department is going to be challenging several local agencies, I don't know if you've heard yet, but to a battle of the badges, which is going to be a dodgeball tournament. Winner gets bragging rights, and also myself and the local businessmen are going to provide a prize for that agency. So it's going to be an evening of a lot of fun, and hopefully you will all attend, and I'm hoping that the commissioners might consider being there and being a part of serving the people some food and just being involved. So if you're interested in doing that, you can either contact myself through the City Hall phone, or you can call Chief Freddie Portillo, and he also has information for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment?
Commissioners, elected officials, my name? Which one? Oh, gotcha. Am I on? Okay. Commissioners, elected officials, my name is Mike Matthews. I work with the New Mexico Game and Fish Department. I'm the captain over the southwest area, which includes Grant County. I want to address you today about your contract or renewing your agreement with Wildlife Services. Our agency utilizes Wildlife Services in this county. They're a valuable resource to us. Years ago, when we had the incident in Pinos Altos where the mountain lion had killed a person, they were integral in the removal and catching of that correct lion. Since then, we've removed a handful of lions in urban areas from Cliff to Members and other parts of the county, which Wildlife Services was once again integral in. They're a huge help to our agency and a valuable resource in the Silver City area where we have wildlife as a constant interaction in our urban areas. We're always going to have urban wildlife conflicts, and we need those resources to be able to deal with them. And I just want to let you know that they're a valuable tool to our agency. We utilize them in your county, which in turn helps your citizens of your county. And I'll also hear if you guys have any other questions for wildlife kind of stuff.
Thank you. Anyone else for public input?
Hi, my name is Candace Greenlee, and I would like to address the first part of this to Commissioner Salas. I'm glad you educated yourself. Being educated about a topic is very important. That said, the cyanide canisters don't explode like fireworks or shoot off like fireworks. Doesn't make them any less lethal. If you were to step on one or an animal were to put their mouth on it, whether it shoots up in the air or not, it's still going to inflict harm or death. I have no problem with, people, using a rifle or whatever to take out an animal that is doing serious damage, but both the cyanide canisters and traps are too indiscriminate. They just can injure anyone and everything, and I don't think these particular methods should be used. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, all. Okay. It's easier for me to sing to you than speak to you, so I will try my best. But my name is Catherine Swain, and I'm a resident of Grant County. And I'm here representing the wildlife that has no voice in this discussion. After doing some research, I learned that Wildlife Services is a division of the USDA. So I'm trying to educate myself as to what actually this group does. And in 2018, they killed 2.6 million animals. And these were the animals that were just reported. 1.5 million of those were native species such as bear, mountain lions, wolves, coyotes, bald eagles, foxes. I'm sure when any of you are out in the wilderness or national forest and you see a wild animal, don't you feel some kind of awe? And here's this indiscriminate killing going on. So I do not support these indiscriminate killings of our native wild animals, domestic pets, or children for that matter. Wildlife Services has a long history of harming our ecosystems and ignoring animal protection laws by using cruel methods to kill native predators. It's time for Wildlife Services to follow science-based wildlife management practices. Non-lethal predator control programs are more effective and humane than the outdated programs they are using. So up in the northern part of the state, landowners, conservation groups, federal agencies are working together to provide wildlife corridors. They realize the benefit of protecting the wildlife and also the safety of motorists. This program could show us a way for working together for the benefit of the environment as well as people's needs. It's really time for the Wildlife Services to move forward into the 21st century and embrace humane wildlife management. Please don't be pressured by the Wildlife Services or a few livestock owners to waste our taxpayers' money. Can we not move forward in this county and outlaw these humane, indiscriminate practices once and for all? And one other note, I'm not sure why we're having another meeting because of some pressure that went on after the decision was already made. Is that really a legal thing to do in this county? If someone doesn't get their way, you just keep having a meeting until you get your way? I don't understand that. So if you could explain why you're having another meeting discussing this issue, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. White. Hold on, sir. I have somebody else coming up real quick.
Good morning. My name is Sandra Griffin. I want to share with the commissioners and public highlights of a report on non-target victims, that is dogs, cats, humans, of USDA Wildlife Services activities. The report was compiled by the Humane Society of the United States and Predator Defense. The sources of the report are unassailable. I say unassailable because nearly every source of 94 comes from USDA's Wildlife Services. I want the commissioners and public to understand that the cyanide bomb that killed a Labrador retriever and injured a 14-year-old boy in Idaho in 2017 was not an anomaly, though it was certainly one of the most horrific incidents. In December 2009, Barney, a cat, was killed in a trap set by Wildlife Services in Oregon. Barney's owner carried him alive to the vet with the trap still on him, and she had to have the cat euthanized. In West Virginia, Wildlife Services employee accidentally discharged an M44 into his face while working. That's an employee. July 2008, a Wildlife Services employee discharged an M44 to his face and shoulders while working. January 2007, in Oklahoma, a Wildlife Services employee accidentally discharged an M44 while working. And I'm sure all these Wildlife Services employees considered themselves professionals. April 2005, Quemado, New Mexico, Wildlife Services employee accidentally discharged an M44. March 2005, Chavez County, New Mexico, an Australian shepherd was killed by an M44 set by Wildlife Services on rangeland. March 2005, Hidalgo, New Mexico, a dog was killed by an M44 set by Wildlife Services on ranch land. March 2004, Curry County, New Mexico, a German shepherd killed by an M44 placed by Wildlife Services at a cow carcass. February 2002, Quay County, New Mexico, M44 set by Wildlife Services killed the dog in a pasture. In spite of the secrecy and intentionally poor documentation, this report reveals decades of mismanagement and cruelty by Wildlife Services. No one who is truly compassionate would vote to continue the use of lead-hold traps and M44s. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, thank you.
My name's Pete Krogsing, resident of Grant County. I'd like to speak to the same subject. We are now being asked to finance over $80,000 for the killing of native animals to protect cattle. I know that there's other smaller reasons for protection, but it's primarily cattle. To me, this seems like a bill that would benefit one group of people at the expense of many other groups of people. That group of people is ranchers. This is a subsidy to the ranch community. We don't get anything for it, but we're paying for it. Now, I know Mr. Billings is adamantly opposed to any kind of socialism. Socialism is a bad word in Mr. Billings' opinion. Bad thing. Well, this is socialism. Taxpayers' money used to pay for the killing of animals to benefit a small group of people. It's the worst kind of socialism. Ranchers pay almost nothing to graze their cattle on public lands. They pay about less than $2 a month. $2 a month for a cow and a calf. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. But you know, in Grant County, it takes 40 acres. That's the average to raise a cow and a calf. So that's $2 a month for 40 acres. Or around $20 a year for 40 acres. Well, I'd like to rent 40 acres prime grazed-land or any other land for $20 a year. That wouldn't even pay the taxes. So we're basically all about subsidizing the cattle industry. And I know there's a powerful lobby in the United States for cattle ranchers. Our public lands do not belong to ranchers. There are thousands of us who use public land for hiking, biking, camping, and general recreation. Thousands of us. Not just a few ranchers. Thousands of us here. I think these public lands need to be managed for us. We, the people. We do not need to kill wild animals to protect cows. Wildlife Services is a division of USDA. It's already been stated. So, Wildlife Services has got some real problems. In Idaho, in a recent court case, it was disclosed that Wildlife Services were often in conflict with other service agencies as to their goals and their methods. These agencies which found fault with Wildlife Services include Fish and Game, U.S. Forest Service, and the BLM. Another point is that there's quite a bit of information that shows that the money spent by Wildlife Services doesn't really save us nearly as much money as they spend. I'll conclude here. I would be happy and hope that our commissioners pay attention to the wishes of the majority of Grant County commissioners. I don't think this has been their place in the past. It would be helpful to hear from each commissioner as to why each of you are voting the way you're going to vote on this issue. Specific information. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public speaking?
Good morning. My name is Joanne Miller. I live at San Lorenzo, New Mexico, on the Harrington Ranch. San Lorenzo is about 21 miles east of Silver City. This ranch was homesteaded by my grandparents in 1902, and the ranch has been in our family for 117 years. My son David and I have this ranch as well as a ranch in Grant and Hidalgo counties in Separ, New Mexico. Ranching is a great way of life, with many obstacles we face every day. Today, one of the obstacles we are facing is the situation in Grant County with the USDA Wildlife Services and the county. At this point, the Wildlife Services hands have been tied by a contract to stop the use of traps and M44s to control predators. This situation has not only affected our livestock herd, but it also affects the game of the state of New Mexico. Not only do coyotes, bears, and lions destroy cattle, but your family pets, birds, deer, antelope, and elk. This affects our bottom line and trickles on down to county taxes, local feed stores, merchants, and it decreases the margins on our profit. The loss of cattle is very important to us, and we take great pride in taking care of the cattle and the livestock on the areas that we are privileged to use. This issue is not only about livestock, but affects game. As ranchers, we take care of our livestock as well as the game by providing water, salt, mineral, and feed as an annual event. As a citizen of Grant County, New Mexico, I am asking you to give to the USDA Wildlife Services the necessary tools with no restrictions to control the predators and protect the livestock, private property, and game in our county. Brandon Jones needs to go back to work and have the ability to use the necessary tools to do his job correctly. Do you have any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Ty Bays. I'm representing the Grant County cattle growers today. It's a membership of about 100 ranching families. I'd like to address some of the comments made about this wildlife services. First of all, this is not killing it. It's about wildlife management. And yes, it sometimes does involve killing wildlife, no doubt. I would like to point out that ranching is a big industry. Agriculture is a huge industry in New Mexico. It's $1 billion industry. And this service, I've heard it called socialism. You know, the money that the county gets, that is grazing fees that we pay on BLM lands, comes back to the county. So it's not taxpayer money. Yes, that money is coupled with federal money that is taxpayer money that provides the service. If this is socialism, then so is law enforcement. I don't think it's socialism. It's wildlife control. It's just like controlling crime. Traps, lake-home traps, despite what everybody says, they are not lethal. If they are set and checked correctly, they are not lethal. I've taught every dog I own, and I've never broken a bone. If they're checked on a regular basis and put where they're supposed to be, nobody's animals should be getting in those traps. When people are out on public land, those dogs are supposed to be on a leash, and they should not be. There's no reason for them to get in a trap. There were some comments about dogs getting killed by these M44 bombs. They are not bombs. They are spring-loaded bait traps that shoot cyanide into an animal's mouth. They are specifically designed for canines, and they will get fox, coyote, and dogs. Dogs should not be running at large out on private land, public land, anywhere. They should be on a leash. So when those are put out, there's signs at every vehicular entrance. People are warned that they're there. It's ridiculous to think that anybody can walk along and kick one of those and be harmed. You're more likely to get struck by lightning or bit by a rattlesnake out there than to be harmed by one of these M44s. Yes, they are lethal, but they're a tool that Wildlife Services needs and utilizes. I urge you to allow this contract to go through and let Wildlife Services have all the tools in their toolbox, just like we do our Sheriff's Department. If not, then don't have this contract. If you're going to restrict them, don't have the contract. I'd also like to comment about grazing fees. Grazing fees that are paid, they say that they're low. I'd like to point out that livestock producers and hunters are the only people that pay to use our public lands. We pay a grazing fee and hunters pay a habitat stamp. Hikers, bikers, they don't pay anything to use our public lands. We also provide water. The ranching industry has built water catchments, put pipelines, windmills, we've developed water. You wouldn't have the wildlife resources you have out there if it weren't for us. I can assure you, we have contributed more wildlife than anybody else by development of water, placement of salt, and this predator control that we are doing through Wildlife Services for our livestock also benefits our hunters. I mean, it's a well-known fact that coyotes, an overpopulation of coyotes, mountain lions, and bear harm big game population. So our hunters also enjoy this service. I urge you to vote for this contract, give them all the tools that they need, or don't have. And if you do that, I would also urge this county commission to stop spraying bugs, putting mouse traps. rat poison in any county building or facility. And we'll see how you like living with those. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I am Glenn Griffin, and I am unpaid, unlike some of the people you just heard from. I've had 2 dogs trapped in leg hole traps in the last decade. And yeah, it does kill dogs. I'm looking to find a bridge, a middle ground where ranchers and our wildlife can coexist on our public lands. I'm calling for my commissioner, Billy Billings, a hypocrite for saying he is against socialism, but voting for ranchers' welfare through wildlife services. A hypocrite for fighting against our governor's big government overreach on background checks for guns. But okay with the Federal Wildlife Services overreach in letting a federal taxpayer-funded big government wildlife killing group overrule our local county government. What a hypocrite. Billings is also a recipient of Wildlife Services. I was here when you mentioned that you had him come help you out and will benefit from Wildlife Services again in the future. So of course Billings wants the welfare. He'll benefit directly. So recuse yourself from voting on ranchers' welfare. It is socialism. I'm asking you to not vote because you directly benefit. It is the definition of a conflict of interest. I hope you will refrain from voting today. The middle ground is letting ranchers continue paying their cattle head check off, use their $26,000 to fund their own hired gun. It could be Brandon, it could be someone of their choosing, to take care of their own problems on their own private land. No need for socialism or welfare from taxpayers, and no overreach from federal government. It's disgusting what happened here. By the way, that boy in Idaho that was temporarily blinded by the M44 that killed his dog, APHIS, Wildlife Services, they're right behind me here, ended up paying his family $6,000. Wildlife Services defense was blaming the boy's parents as bad parents. Shame on them. There's a liability with using lethal methods, a liability that commissioners should be made aware of. You should know that there may be a possible lawsuit from injury. You heard the litany of litigation and problems with the M44s. Tuesday's vote, and you may not know this, so you need to know this. Tuesday's vote by Doñana County Commissioners, 4-1 against Wildlife Services. Tuesday, right here, just down the road, should speak volumes to the commission. It's making Wildlife Services desperate because that money is good. The problem with non-lethal methods, 2 times on at least 2 different days before using lethal methods is Wildlife Services themselves. 100 years of no accountability, no reporting private land from public land. You don't know where this activity is taking place. Wildlife Services is not accountable to taxpayers, and they have a history of violating bans on trapping and M44s. There are 2.6 million reasons wrong with Wildlife Services. That was 2018 death toll by APHIS. So get rid of government overreach, get rid of Wildlife Services, and let ranchers pay for the work themselves, and leave taxpayers out of paying your $57,000 match. I never hear what the total figure is. I only hear what the rangers come up with. It was $82,000 last year. Both ranching and our wildlife will survive if the commission will vote against Wildlife Services. This will not be the end of ranching if you terminate Wildlife Services. Thank you. Thank you for your 4 minutes. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Commissioner. I'm Shelby Hallmark. I'm a Grant County resident and have been for 8 years. When Europeans came to this continent, we brought with us age-old fear and hatred of predators. We got to this continent and we, in many respects, set out to eliminate predators altogether. In recent years, we've learned that predators have a role to play in the larger ecology, biosphere that surrounds us. The old attitude that they are killing machines, that they are in effect spiritless, comes from way back in our European history, and it's wrong. These are sentient, conscious beings. They're our neighbors. We live in the middle of the biosphere. We do not dominate the biosphere. We're part of it. I just urge you to keep thinking about that and make decisions associated with trying to live with the other creatures that are around us and not destroy them for profit. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Teresa Beal. I'm a Grant County resident. Also lived up in Catron County for many years. Worked federal government, trained as a federal law enforcement officer, and also worked game and fish in a 10-year bear study in Catron and Grant County. One thing I would like to correct right away is that, as far as I'm concerned, there's no code of federal regulation that states your dog must be on a leash. So I want to have that corrected right now while on public land. And I've worked with ranchers. I've ridden with ranchers up in Catron County. And my observations have been that the attrition of cattle out on the range is due to many things. But I have not seen coyotes be the number one contributors to this attrition. Yes, a coyote will hang around a cow that's sloughed her uterus or to pick up the afterbirth. But if that cow has had adequate nourishment, it will fend off a coyote. That is not a very big animal. And so I'm amazed that we've even gotten to this point that we're here, that we're discussing this issue. Coyotes have a tendency to eat grasshoppers. They eat rodents, a lot of them. And it's the same with bear. You know, they are predominantly insects. They eat grub. Every once in a while, you'll get a bear that likes to go to McDonald's. No, every once in a while. It is so rare. It's not worth any energy put out trying to kill bear in general, because they might have taken one cow down or one calf down. And I feel the same way about coyotes. I think that this is misplaced energy to be killing coyotes that are actually doing the land some good by eating the things they're supposed to eat. The grasshoppers, which increases grass for the cattle. And I like my ranching buddies. I like them to have their cows out there. And let me tell you, if you talk to many of them, they're not going to point their finger at coyotes and say, boy, that's our biggest problem. And hey, I didn't hear wolves mentioned once here. Are we including this in this tracking? You know, that just is kind of being pushed under the rug here. So I think that's about all I wanted to say on the issue, is that I think we're pointing the fingers at coyotes and calling them the bad guys when they're actually doing benefits by killing rodents and allowing the grass to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else public speaking?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Roseanne Abey, and Along with my husband Larry and our sons, we raise cattle in the Members Valley at Faywood. And I'm here today to voice, our concern regarding wildlife specialist Brandon Jones and his limited tools to do his job. Sadly, our death loss is 5 to 15 head of calves every year to coyotes. Bears are also a problem, as we lost 6 baby calves at one windmill watering tank in one night. As livestock producers, we understand it is a balancing act for cattle and other livestock with natural predators in the area. Managing population of large predators is vitally important not only to livestock producers but to the surrounding areas as well. When the predator, in this case coyote population, increases, they expand their territory in searches of resources, food, water, living spaces, and mates. Predators will move closer into urban areas to find these resources. With a rapid, uncontrolled population increase in an urban area, population fitness becomes an issue as well as disease. With this said, we know firsthand the devastating loss to native wildlife, pets, and property damage that occur when the scales are not kept in balance. Recently, while I was out feeding livestock, a coyote dangerously circled me and my 2 very old dogs within 50 feet. I called Mr. Jones as I did not feel safe going out in the mornings and by myself with my dogs. He came on his day off and took care of the problem. We all know for a job to be well done, the necessary tools must be available. You wouldn't expect your mechanic to work on your car without his tools. Likewise, Mr. Jones needs his tools to do his job. Being a professionally trained wildlife specialist, he is able to make the decision of what tools or methods are needed. M44s and steel traps are needed sometimes for his tools. As ranchers, we believe in and practice good wildlife procedures, such as limited hunting and keeping water and salt in pastures, even when cattle are not grazing for other wildlife such as deer, antelope, elk, and birds. In closing, all we are asking is to have our wildlife specialist, Mr. Jones, have access to his resources to protect our livelihood, our pets, and our property. Give Mr. Jones to do this job correctly and to keep the balance. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public speaking? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. My name is Rodolfo Harlow, and I work with USDA Wildlife Services. I am the Las Cruces District Supervisor. And I came here today to share a little bit of our vision and our mission of the program for the community and for the people of Delaware County. Our vision, in a few words, is living with wildlife. Before I share more of our vision and some of our mission statements, I would like to add that in the Las Cruces District, over 80% of our staff is educated in wildlife management, have received degrees in agriculture, animal science, wildlife fisheries, resource, ecology, environmental science, and so forth from New Mexico State University in Las Cruces. So the staff and the individuals that work for Wildlife Services, we do understand wildlife. We do understand their behaviors. We understand their population presence. We understand what their negative effects and their positive effects. And we do have a caring emotion for wildlife, but we're here to coexist with the people. We're here to alleviate wildlife problems, nuisance problems. We're here to help the public coexist of people and wildlife together. We're here to alleviate problems. I heard individuals talk about the M44 bomb. There is not an M44 bomb. It doesn't exist. The M44 is a spring-loaded device with no explosive whatsoever. And the tools and techniques that we use, they're developed by our National Wildlife Research Center in Colorado. Our individuals, our staff members, we're educated on the use of our methods and the tools, and it's backed up by research. We don't go out and use the tools that are not recommended or approved by USDA and Animal Plant Health Inspection Service. We stay within local laws, city laws, and so forth. And not only that, but there's a misconception that Wildlife Services will go out and try to get rid of a certain species. That is not so. We respond to calls from the community, whether they're urban, suburban, and rural. I've heard some comments here today about saying maybe ranch life is not important, or maybe city life is not important, but the way Wildlife Services Program sees this, everybody's important in the community, and we're here to provide a service for everyone equally. No matter if they live in the city, suburban, or rural. We all have to live together, and we all have to live with wildlife. Encroachment, human encroachment is becoming more and more with the population increase, and there has to be an agency that can do that can effectively have effective tools and methods that are biologically, environmentally, and socially sound, and that's what we do in Wildlife Services. I would like to invite anyone from the community, anyone sitting here today, if there's any concerns or questions or want actual facts on what the program actually exists or what our facts are, I invite them to call our office. We do plenty of outreach for the community as well. We go to presentation for schools, colleges, universities, local programs. We work with other agencies, sister agencies, with the state Game and Fish Department, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We work on Old Forest Service, BLM, and so forth. So we all work together. And we work together, why? Because of wildlife, coexistence with wildlife. And all these agencies are working together to try to make that happen. Without the Wildlife Services Program, I ask you, what will the county have in place? I mean, does the county have something in place as far as to deal with wildlife disease, dealing with wildlife negative situations to the public? Because there's wildlife that are protected state and federally. Are you gonna want the community to go and take matters in their own hand because there's a wildlife issue? They'll be forced to commit state and federal laws violations. We're certified, our staff is certified, and we're authorized, and our tools are biologically sound. I am here today to thank you for historically letting the program provide services to the county, and we urge you to continue that services, and let us do the good for the community. And again, thank you for your time, and again, I invite anybody who has any questions about our program to please contact our office. We are transparent, and we will provide information as need be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the June 25th work session meeting minutes and the June 27th regular meeting minutes.
Yes, you have a second by Commissioner Salas. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Hi, sorry, we're obviously thinking about something else.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda. Yeah, under agreements is consideration of agreement A-19-29. It's a working financial plan cooperative services agreement between Grant County and the United States Department of Agricultural, Animal, and Plant Health Inspection Services.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve agreement A-19-29.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Billings. We have a second by Commissioner Salas. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to take this moment to make an amendment to agreement number A-19-29. And that amendment will be to add the language to the agreement that Wildlife Services will not use lake hold traps. So did I say I was making a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Just wasn't sure what I said.
I guess for the sake of discussion, I'd like to hear some of this, so I'd like to second that.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may? I met with Brandon Jones from Wildlife Services after the last commission meeting. I had some big concerns about the fact that we were going to talk about this some more. I had some big concerns about what I see as federal overreach into local decision making. But I also felt like I wanted to hear from Mr. Jones about what he did. I came away from that meeting with a lot of different thoughts in my head. One of which I could actually see how the M44 might have been created by someone who thought there was a better solution than lake hold traps. Brandon walked us through step by step on how an M44 is set up and used, and my conclusion was that someone as well trained and conscientious as Brandon seems to be, the M44 is much less of an inhumane, indiscriminate torture device than a lake hold trap. I know that some of you won't agree, but to me this is a complex issue with a lot of potential unintended consequences. Many of those consequences have been talked about here today. As a commissioner, my job is to think about those unintended consequences and how they impact the county as an entity. And I do have some big concerns about what the county would do without the Wildlife Services contract, because it isn't just ranchers that the Wildlife Services contract serves. There is one aspect of this that I believe we can address right now with minimal consequences and tremendously positive outcomes, and that is banning lake hold traps. I could cite tons of data and show you hideous pictures, but I'm pretty sure that every one of us can imagine how horrific it would be to chew your own leg off to escape a lake hold trap. One of the comments I hear frequently in discussion about the Wildlife Services contract is the imperative that we must coexist with wildlife. I absolutely agree with that. I think we sometimes forget that we also have to coexist as human beings. To me, the purpose of an elected representative body is to listen more than we talk and learn from what we hear, ultimately making solutions-based policy decisions that help make it possible for all of us to coexist. Ditching Wildlife Services in its entirety without a plan for the consequences is not a solutions-based policy making and has the potential to create more problems. I have real concerns about predation being dealt with in other ways. And I'm happy to talk about that more, but I think it has the potential to create even more problems than we're prepared to deal with. Banning lake hold traps is not only the right thing to do, it's an opportunity to step back a little bit from there's only one way to a dialogue about what are the potential solutions. I don't agree with the use of lake hold traps or M44s. I also don't agree with the idea of not doing anything and allowing people to take to deal with what they need to deal with into their own hands, or putting people's lives at risk. It isn't just hikers and bikers and dogs. I don't know about the leash thing. I assume that the person who talked about the leashes has some basis for being able to say that leashes aren't allowed on federal lands, but I do have a fair amount of confidence that in Grant County, and I'm speaking only for Grant County, that Brandon Jones is doing a good job of identifying where these things, where M44s are happening, and he has assured me that he uses light hold traps only when absolutely necessary. However, I really believe that banning leg hold traps at this point is, as I said, a way to move forward and perhaps start a dialogue about how we can manage wildlife in a different way. We have the capacity to see galaxies 2.4 billion light years away. Surely we can figure out a way to manage the interaction between people and wildlife without killing. But we can't just do that without understanding what the unintended consequences are and having a plan for what that's going to look like. Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Appreciate Commissioner Edwards' comments. Agree with a lot of that. The leg hold traps are rarely used by Mr. Jones, and this commission wouldn't be banning the use of leg hold traps by this amendment. We would only be banning or asking wildlife services to not use leg hold traps. Other citizens under the law could continue to use leg hold traps. Leg hold traps, when used properly, a dog or an animal of any kind is not, when they're used properly and checked regularly, like they are by a trained professional, Mr. Jones, they're not going to chew their leg off. They won't have time because they're checked regularly. I'm not denying that would happen by citizens who are lazy and irresponsible for not checking their traps. I don't deny that animals have suffered in leg hold traps when they're not used properly, and it's repulsive to me. Mr. Jones is not going to allow that to happen. Wildlife Services is not going to allow that to happen here. So in the rare occasions, and I think very rare, from what we've been told, that Wildlife Services uses leg hold traps here, that would be the occasion when an M44 would be it'd be dangerous and irresponsible to use those because it'd be too close to someone's in a residential area. Also, it's been brought to my attention, and I hope these facts are accurate. Recently, wolf was caught, needed to be relocated, actually to Grant County, and maybe somebody can speak to this here, maybe Mr. Matthew more accurately than I do, but I can. But it was relocated, is the information I have, from Catron County to Grant County. That wolf was caught in a rubberized leg hold trap, relocated here. It had become a killer in that area, and not having the use of the leg hold trap to relocate it, the only alternative would have been to issue basically a death warrant for that animal. So sometimes leg hold traps can be used to actually save an animal, like in the case of the wolf. I think this amendment would limit Mr. Jones' ability to do his job in the rare occasions when he would need to use a leg hold trap. It wouldn't stop irresponsible citizens, other people who might not check their traps and do that in a proper way. It wouldn't have any consequence on their behavior. So.
Any further discussion?
Well, I think I'm the center of this controversy because it was my ineptness last time for being so miseducated about the M44s and the use of the lead-cooled traps. So I'd like to try to address some things. First of all, I wasn't lobbied by the ranchers. I had a lot of emails, and most of them were, against using the M44s and the lead-cooled traps. So I had no knowledge of any pressure that we had by the federal government to sign this contract. I also visited with Mr. Jones when he visited with our other commissioners, so I got educated on what it was. And first of all, I think the lead-cooled traps are a non-issue because he doesn't use them. The only thing that's there is his ability to use them if there's no way to use an M44, and in this case he means to a highly populated area where the M44 would truly be of a concern. Now, I found Mr. Jones to be a consummate professional, and he does not indiscriminately use any of the tools. So, the other thing is that his duties, the ranching community is only a part of his duties. All the other time he serves the rest of Grant County. So it's not, we're not just serving a selected entity. His services are for everybody. So, that I think that's a misconception that he's just here to help the ranchers, because it's not. He provides a lot of help to the game and fish when they have predators that come into our county, into our urban areas, which they have on many occasions. You guys have heard of bears and mountain lions coming into our town. Pictures have been in the paper. Bears had a problem. Silver City had to shut their schools down because they had lions in the area. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I wasn't lobbying. Okay, the decisions that I'm going to make are going to be on my own, and I'm going to try to make them for the better of the whole county. Now, true, the ranchers use them, but the ranching community is an integral part of our community. So if we're able to help them, then I think that's a good thing. If they didn't have a Brandon Jones to come out there and professionally do his job, then they would take it upon themselves to do it. Now, I've heard the comments say, well, just get a posse out there with 22 long rifles and you'll take care of the coyotes. But, as anybody knows, it's been a hunt for everything. Not every shot is a kill. It could be a cripple. That animal could slink off and die somewhere else and suffer a horrendous death, just like with any other animal. So it's not a guarantee that you're going to kill an animal when you shoot them. They could use other very toxic poisons, just like you could buy toxic poisons for rodents in your own home. The ranchers would have the ability to go down and buy toxic poisons that would cause a carcass of an animal that ate that to become toxic, which then would affect any carnivore that would go to it, whether it be aviary or land. So that would cause those animals to become, and have a chain reaction, They eat the animal, they die, and another animal eats them, they die. So, and it's not that with the M44, because I also read the literature on it, and the M44 doesn't have the toxicity to kill a human. They've had occasions where it goes off in the face of somebody who works with it. And also, the M44 cannot be set off if you step on it. It has to be a pulling action because they'll put the bait on the M44, and it's actually when an animal pulls up on it. And it works by shooting the poison up into the mouth and stopping. It has a chemical reaction with the saliva that causes the death of the animal. So it's not going to be an indiscriminate discharge of an M44. That's what I heard. By the way, I also learned that, Mr. Jones has only had 16 targeted kills in our county this last year. And he gives all this information to his supervisor. Now, if there's somewhere there's a gap between what he gives the supervisor, what the supervisor pushes out to us, and the form of a report, that's not Mr. Jones' fault. Because, he showed us every place where he placed M44 and what happened to it. Okay, so I don't know anything about the grazing fees or how they're administered or anything like that. But I do know that those are the fees that pay for the wildlife services. They don't go directly to Mr. Jones' pocket because he doesn't make $80,000, $90,000 a year. It goes into the general fund where they pay for everything that goes, even the lateral stuff, like all the research and stuff that goes into what they're doing. Now, is it a kill? A kill is a kill is a kill. Is it necessary? Well, I think in some situations it would be. And as we heard from Mr. Fajardo, they're not pulling people off the street and just saying go kill. It's people that are educated into wildlife management. I don't know enough about it to say what they're doing is the most correct thing. Will there be another tool that comes down, that would be better than an M44? And quite possibly yes. Okay, just as the M44 has pretty much replaced the lead bolt traps. So, technology will come up. I find that the services that he provides to the rest of the county is so very important because he's been involved with almost every dangerous animal that has come into our urban areas. Whether he's called directly or whether the Game and Fish calls him. Right close to my house, I know that we had lion scares. And, whatever happened, they're not in danger anymore. I know that's happened in Silver City. And I couldn't speak. A lot of the information that's been put out is national. What's happened throughout the U.S. And I couldn't speak to that. All I can speak to is what's happened here in the county. Will things change when Mr. Jones retires and we have somebody else? They might. But I know that as long as he's here and he's providing that service, we're going to have a professional doing it. Now, I know that I'm going to, whatever way I vote, I'm going to please a lot of people and I'm going to make a lot of people angry. But I have to vote my conscience and think of what is the best for Grant County. Not a special interest group, but the best thing for Grant County in itself. Okay, and by the way, Mr. Jones didn't have any dogs killed here. He had 16 confirmed targeted kills last year from M44s, but involved no dogs. As a matter of fact, I don't think he's ever killed a dog. Have there been dogs killed in other places? Yes. I've heard that, they're going to be hiking in the forest and they're going to be afraid to hit one of these M44s. Well, guess what? He doesn't place any in the forest land. Even if there's a grazing permit, if it's forest land, he doesn't place it. He'll only target when he's called because there's a need. And then he just doesn't take the word for it, he researches it to make sure that there's a need. So, it's a delicate issue, and I can certainly understand it, because I love animals myself. To the point where I don't even hunt because I can't see myself killing an animal. But it's not that. It's sometimes things are necessary to protect all of us, including the ranchers, and including any other citizen of the county. So I want to be transparent with what I say and what I think. you know, and I want to take the blame for not being properly educated on the issue when it came up. That way there won't be such a controversy. So for that, I apologize, and I hope to do better in the future. But, and please, who's ever got any feelings after the vote, please contact me, and I will talk to you, I will listen to you. You know, that's our job, is to listen to all our constituents and then try to make the best choice that we deem necessary.
Thank you. You know, for me, I think that right now we have something in place, and that's the only thing that we have in place. I understand lake traps, and I've heard some of the comments being made out here. My biggest concern, my biggest fear is that if we don't have something that is structured, whether it takes lake traps and 44s, it is structured. And I've spoken to Mr. Jones quite a bit, and I feel comfortable with how he handles this. But I'm not going to rehash everything that the commissioners have already stated up here and what the purpose is and what they're doing. My biggest fear through this whole thing even is that if we don't have something structured in place, how many more animals are we going to hurt? How many people are going to take things into their own hands and set traps out there? You know, trapping is something that is a complicated process because of the time it takes. Last thing I want is individuals taking things into their own hands, laying out traps and trapping dogs and animals that don't deserve to be trapped. And sometimes that's unavoidable, but at least we have something structured. I've heard about shooting. That's scary. When people start taking things into their own hands using firearms, traps what it traps and it stays there. The bullet will go for many miles. It can create a lot of suffering in animals. Those are my concerns for the wild game, for the domesticated, for dogs that may get hurt because we don't put something in place that is structured. Do I care about animals? Yes, I do. You know, in town, people poison rats. They carry that poison with them. You know, they hurt other animals. It just doesn't stay confined to one place or one area where it stops, or the way they dispose of them. Those are my biggest concerns, and right now, with what I see in Grant County, and I respect every commissioner's comments and discussion on this but right now in my mind, the biggest thing that I like and have about this is that it is structured and it is something that is controlled. Until further down the road, like Commissioner Edwards said, you know, we can see galaxies, we can do this, until something else comes into play, until someone else puts something better out there for us, you know, that would be the time to consider it. But for right now, I think the best service we have from letting this get out of hand, because I know we don't have a contract in place. The next commissioner meeting, what are we going to be hearing? Animals are being killed senselessly, shots are being fired, other things being hurt. And as a commissioner, I don't think I can sit up here and take that chance. It's not the answering to the public that's the hard part. It's the suffering that's caused and other innocent animals getting hurt. So for me right now, you know, this is what we have. You know how I voted last time? It shouldn't take anybody by surprise. This is what we have. A structured system right now. I feel comfortable in Mr. Jones until I hear different, that he's going to do the right thing and he's not a vigilante out there. And I think for right now, that's the best thing that we have in front of us for Grant County. Any other discussion? So we're going to vote on what was
an amendment to, and requesting the banning of the traps, the lake hold traps.
The lake hold traps? Okay, so no further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor of that amendment? Opposed? Aye. Nay?
Sorry, I should have said aye first.
Okay, so for the record, we have 1 aye, 3 nays. Okay, now we go to Commissioner Billings' motion. Commissioner Billings' motion was, if I'm correct, is that they accept the contract as is, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Any discussion on Commissioner Billings' motion? Okay, see no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is Agenda D under agreements. Is consideration of Agreement A1935. It's an agreement for provisions of animal control services in the unincorporated portions of Grant County, New Mexico.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve agreement number A1935.
I'll second it. So second by me. Any discussion on this? See no discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Going on to the next item of under resolution, it's going to be consideration of resolution R-19-47.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve resolution number R-19-47.
I'll second that.
So it's a second by Commissioner Billings. Any discussion? See no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move that we recess as the Grant County Board of Commissioners and convene as the Grant County Health Care Claims Board.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a second by Commissioner Billings. Any
So the discussion is that we want to table these two items, correct, Bernadette?
right?
We're on the Health Care Claims Board issue, and you have requested that we table these two items? Yes. Mr. Chair, I move that we table items number F and G, consideration of May 2019 health care claims in the amount of $2266.25, and consideration of June 19 health claims in the amount of $555.64.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn as the Grant County Healthcare Claims Board and reconvene as the Grant County Board of Commissioners.
Second that.
Second by Commissioner Salas. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner reports. Commissioner reports, do you have any reports?
I do have a couple things I want to say. I first want to thank Commissioner Salas for his thorough and well thought out comments on the Wildlife Services discussion. Actually, I want to thank everybody for the discussion on this topic. I think that this is a really, really challenging topic. I don't need to go into all the reasons why it's challenging. I think that has been said very well. But I also want to acknowledge that, this is the third time that this has come up since I was elected, and we have significant conversation about it every time. But we don't actually have once the vote is taken, then it's gone. And what happens, I think, in situations like this, and it isn't just Wildlife Services, we have had to address some pretty significant issues up here. And we have all this discussion, and we vote, and then there's never any additional conversation about these topics beyond that. And one of the points that I tried to make, and I'm going to reiterate, is that I actually think that part of what we need to do is figure out a different solution to the issue. And I do think that our responsibility is solution-based policymaking, and those solutions don't happen if once the vote is over, we never have dialogue again about it. And I recognize that dialogue is difficult. It's one of the hardest things I think about being a commissioner is that I am prohibited by law from having dialogue with my fellow commissioners that would enhance these issues anywhere other than up here where it's challenging to have. So anyway, I really appreciate the conversation. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess my report is basically comment is and echoing some of what you said. Some of these things that we're faced with aren't going to be popular with certain individuals, and they're going to be popular with other individuals. But as the chairman of the Grant County Commissioners, that I do want to take my hat off to the commissioners, to all of them, including Mr. Brown, he's not here today, is that, we do have good civil discussions. We may not always agree on items, but, it has for the most part, it has, as far as I'm concerned, remained respectful. And I just want to tell every commissioner here that I appreciate that, and, discussion is good, and discussion can be educational to help us understand some of these issues that we are faced with. And I want to personally thank each and every one of you, and I'll thank Commissioner Brown when he comes back. And thank you guys, I really appreciate that. Commissioner Jones.
I just wanted to quickly put in a plug for Advanced Airlines. I think I just was a victim of their longest delay to record the other day from Phoenix to Silver City because of the storm that hovered over the airport for several hours, and so we actually had to, instead of flying that evening, and fly the next morning. But they've had the fact that they did fly the next morning unscheduled. It was a Saturday, meant that I didn't have to wait till Sunday and the other passengers. And it was also brought to my attention they've had 0 cancellations since they've been working here. I have actually a fact sheet and I can't find it now. But the fact that 0 cancellations and the average ticket price, though it seems higher to those who book in advance, way in advance, the average ticket price is very close, like within $1 or $2 of the old price. And the flight service has just been exceptional. And flights are up in Grant County, which means more people are coming in and able to get out. And I think it's a good thing that we did all the way around. And I know we had quite a bit of opposition. This commission did. We were actually, that was something we were unanimous in deciding. It was the right decision, and looking back. And sometimes false information can get out and sway a lot of people. And I think a lot of those people have changed their minds, certainly the ones that have used Advanced Air. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Salas?
I would like to echo Commissioner Edwards. We do discuss a lot of delicate issues and a lot of issues that we're not in agreement with, but it's a pleasure to do it without fear and to do it with respect to each other. And I think that we all are really, really bound to the fact that we're here to serve the people of Grant County, and I think that's what we're trying to do. And so we're committed to that. We're dedicated to that. And there may be different views, but it's okay. It's okay between us because I think we've treated each other with respect. So, I thank my fellow commissioners, Mr. Brown, because it makes it easier to discuss these issues without fear of any kind of retribution because, we're on opposite sides of the fence. The other issue that I want to bring up, and Ms. Connor's not here, but Silver City passed the ATV law. And I think that's going to be a tremendous plus for us. I think that one of the avenues that we have for economic development is going to be in part by the ATV population. You know, all the people that have those side-by-sides, and that I can see some kind of cooperatives with the forest to be able to maybe run trails between, around the county, between here and the mining area, and maybe, establishment to be people in specifically to use those trails. I think it's a good first step into trying to expand our economy with the resource that we have here. And that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. So we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda. Title executive session in accordance with NMSA 1978-10-15-1H.
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into an executive session.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Billings, and a roll call, please.
Yes, Chairman Ponce, Commissioners Edwards, Billings, and Salas, are you all aware that you will be entering executive session?
Yes.